Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Okay. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsastutarya Parikacharya's Divine Grace Abhay Charana Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad ISKCON Founder Acharya BBT Founder Acharya Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Gangamai Ji Ki Jai Shri Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai. So today we're taking a little break from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's a couple of appearance days, and there's also a very important day on this full moon in the month of Chaitra, the Purnima, and we'll discuss some of the things that have gone on during that time in Krishna Lila, Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna. But first, let's start with those who appeared in Gaura Lila. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So first, let's hear a little bit about Vamsi Vandana Prabhu. He actually appeared today, full moon day in the month of Chaitra. He appeared in Kulia, which is kind of outlying of Navadvip. And he was born of, he was born in the home of Sri Madhavadasa. Sri Madhavadasa was a very famous devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And actually when Mahaprabhu came from Puri to visit his mother, have darshan of his mother and the river Ganges, he stayed for 7 days in the house of Madhavadasa at Kulia. And that place became known as Aparad Banjanpat because he was excusing the offenses of everyone there. Actually, I think we went by that place when I was just there. But notably, he excused Devananda Pandit along with the offenses of anyone and everyone at that time in the house of Madhavadas. Madhavadas was very favorably disposed to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so Vamsi Thakur appeared there. His mother was Srimati Chandrakala Devi. And it's said that Vamsi Vandana Prabhu is the incarnation of Sri Krishna's flute, Vamsi. So when he appeared there at that house that day, that very day, Mahaprabhu was there along with Sri Advaita Acharya. So he was obviously appearing as the human incarnation of his flute, of Sri Krishna's flute. Obviously, he's a very exalted personality appearing in that day when Mahaprabhu was there during that week. And when Lord Chaitanya was traveling after he took sannyas, actually Vamsi was engaged in the service of Vishnupriya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's wife, and also Sachi Mata. He put him into the service of his mother and his wife while he was away. And he became very bereft at the leaving of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as Vishnupriya. I mean, we know about the austerities that Vishnupriya had performed while her Lord was traveling and preaching. And Vamsi Thakur also decided in solidarity with Vishnupriya at some point to perform some austerities as well, because he was also in great pain from being separated from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Lord Chaitanya did not approve of that, such austerities just because he was away. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very magnanimous, and the whole point of his incarnation in this world, one of the whole points for us as devotees, is to encourage the devotees to have unalloyed devotion to Sri Krishna, and not really perform those sorts of unnecessary austerities. My spiritual master says that austerities don't make one more Krishna conscious. So extreme tapasya is not really it's not really conducive to execution of bhakti. So he appeared and requested them not to behave so rashly, and also instructed him to worship his deity form. And the deity form that he was worshiping, Vamsi Vandana and Vishnupriya, were none other than Dameshwar, who we just saw. If you've not seen that deity, he's very beautiful. He has his hands out like this, just begging everyone to take this process of the chanting of the Maha Mantra, and he's bestowing his mercy on all of us. So he actually brought that deity to, Vamsi Vandana brought that deity from where Vishnupriya Devi was worshipping to the spot where he is worshipped now. And it's said that his name, Vamsi Vandana's name, is carved into the base of the deity. And it's also described that he had two sons. Vamsi Vandana ended up having two sons, Chaitanya and Nityananda. And his son Chaitanya Das had a son, Ramachandra Goswami. So we can see the timeline, because Vamsi Vandana was there during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he had a son, and then Ramachandra Goswami, and we all know Ramachandra Goswami as the great associate of Narottama Das Thakur, who appeared much later after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the world. So that was quite a notable descendant of Vamsi Vandana, was Ramachandra Goswami, who became a disciple of Janava Mata. So we're recognizing his appearance day today. He was also a poet and composer of songs. I've never seen that song, and I couldn't find that song, but it was talking about his great lamentation when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyas order, and he was emoting in that poetry and that song from the lens of Sachimata and Vishnupriya, who were feeling great lamentation. And practically speaking, I'm sure Vamsi Vandana was probably feeling extremely great lamentation, since he's very used to always being held to the lips of Sri Krishna. And in this incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya did not, of course, touch a flute, play a flute like that. So I'm assuming that Vamsi Vandana was also lamenting in his own right, because he wasn't afforded that kind of closeness to the Lord. And then also on the full moon in the month of Chaitra, which we are in now, Shamananda Das, or Shamananda Thakur, also appeared. And we've heard about his story a little bit, but his story is a little bit well known, some of the details. Shamananda was born in Utkala, and that was after his father and his wife had had many sons and daughters pass away. So he had had brothers and sisters that had came before him. They consequently left, and then when this boy was born to his parents, the father's name was Sri Krishna Mandal, who was also a great devotee of Krishna. He named the boy Duki because there had been so many children that had died. Duki means sad or crestfallen or like that. And when he appeared, he was very, very, very beautiful boy. So he had all the symptoms of a Mahapurush. So it was said that he would be a great devotee as well. And when he was growing up, he was starting to become recognized as being very brilliant, very devotional, very beautiful, all the things, a little like Nimai Pandit himself. So at some point, Sri Krishna, his father, directed him to take shelter of a spiritual master. And Hridai Chaitanya and Gauridas Pandit were living nearby at the time, so he took shelter of them because he had some indication, like some other times we've heard like a voice from the sky, but he had some indication, maybe in a dream, that Hridai Chaitanya would be his guru. So he went there, and it was quite a long way away. And, his father gave him blessings, although he was a little concerned, after thinking more about it. And he made the journey, which was quite a long way away, because Utkala is, I don't know, I think it's near Bangladesh, from my understanding. Yeah, it's near Bangladesh. So he had to come all the way down to Navadvip. That's quite a long ways. And on his way to Vrindavan and to this place called Ambika Kalna. And when he reached the house of Gauridas Pandit, where Hridai Chaitanya was living, they directed him there. And Duki, at that point his name was Duki, just submitted himself onto he surrendered himself to Hridai Chaitanya. And so he was, Hridai Chaitanya was very pleased, and he waited for an auspicious day to initiate him into Harinam mantra, and he also named him Krishnadas then as well. So he was named Krishnadas, or maybe Duki Krishnadas. But he could see that this boy was very brilliant, so he then sent him to seek the tutelage of Jiva Goswami, and that's in Benares. So that was another quite a distance away. And he went through Navadvip and like that, and Gaya. And this was way far after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared. So he was just sort of going around to the different places where he knew Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been. And he did stop into the house of Jagannath Mishra to find Ishan, which some of you might remember is Sanatana Goswami's servant. Very old version of Ishan was there, and, you know, directed him around where he could see some of the sights. But finally he made it to Jiva Goswami, and he surrendered to him for teaching, you know, learning all about Krishna consciousness. And so while he was studying there, he was, this was in Vrindavan, he was one day at a area where he went to draw water. And he kept seeing a very beautiful personality there in a female form. And, you know, he wasn't paying that much attention because he was going about his own business. But noticeably, this person was very beautiful. And one day, when this person, who was also drawing water, took the pot away, he could see there was this beautiful shimmering anklet under the pot. And he went immediately, because it was so dazzling, and he picked it up and was thinking, what is this? You know, this, you know, there's jewelry and then there's jewelry, you know, and this is a very special bangle of Srimati Radharani that her servant had dropped at the time. And there was actually a little piece of cloth attached to it as well. So when he was there, he was trying to figure out, you know, mind was racing, where did this come from? You know, of course he wanted to get it back to the owner. And then this beautiful princess, from his eyes, who even Brahma and Shiva were enchanted by, came and was looking around and asked him, you know, have you seen this jewelry for my queen? And he pulled it out, and she said, oh yes, that's it. And he said, was incredulous, and he said, who did this belong to? And she said, oh, I'll go get her now. And she brought Radharani there to the spot, and Radharani was kind of a little bit hidden, because, you know, Radharani's chaste and she just isn't going to appear. And, you know, but she could see that Krishnadas was so eager to render service, and he was he's a great personality. He had all good qualities. So she appeared finally in front of Dukhi Krishnadas and took the jewelry, and actually took some of the clay from the kunda and marked his head with a little bit of a different tilak, which was it was permanent actually, and it was completely effulgent. It looked like no other tilak. And she told him that from this day forward, his name was Shamananda, and basically indicating that he was her direct servant. So then he went back to, you know, he was obviously dumbstruck, and, you know, he just had a visit from Srimati Radharani, you know, so his samadhi sort of broke, and he was able to come back to external consciousness. So then when he went back to his place with Jiva Goswami could see that he looked very different. You know, he had been completely transformed, not just from the tilak, but, you know, his whole body had been spiritualized. And Jiva Goswami just exclaimed, you know, what has happened to you? Where did this mark come from? So he, with great, you know, humility, but in a lot of tears, Shamananda explained to him what had happened, and Jiva Goswami was in exultation because he could understand Radharani had bestowed some great mercy on him. Although his Guru Hridaya Chaitanya, when he got wind of it, was very upset because he thought he had been reinitiated by someone else. And it wasn't until he saw the marking and his own bodily effulgence, Dukhi Krishnadas's bodily effulgence, or Shamananda's effulgence, could he understand that he had been benedicted by Srimati Radharani. And he actually started to beat Shamananda for taking reinitiation, or what he thought he had done. So he actually started to beat him, because that's a very great offense to take, unless your spiritual master has left the planet or has some way or other fallen down. Obviously, you must remain chaste to your guru. So once Hridaya Chaitanya understood that that was Radharani's benediction, then he was satisfied with that. So it's a very wonderful story, and today is his appearance day, Shamananda, as well. And so I'm going to read about today, in this month of Chaitra, full moon of Chaitra. This is also one of 2 times a year when Lord Krishna performs his rasa dance. He performs one in the fall, the clear fall days, sort of the harvest moon time, and also in the spring. But notably, today is specifically the day of Balaram, Sri Balaram's rasa dance. So I'm going to read, this is from the 5th chapter of the Bhakti Ratnakara. Balaram, the son of Rohini, performed his Rasa Leela in Ram Agat. This place is situated quite a long distance from where Krishna had his Rasa Leela. So this is 2 different instances with very different personalities, different gopis. Balaram has his own gopis and his own devotees. So this is Balaram's whole pastime. Balaram was the second body of Krishna himself, and the depth of his real self was like the depth of 1,000,000 oceans. He came to Braja from Dwarka and stayed during the 2 months of Chaitra and Vaishak to console Sri Nanda, Yashoda, and the others. He pleased his sakhas in various ways. There also Balaram gave solace to all the Krishna Priyas and charmed his own dear and loving gopis by having leelas with them. At that time, Krishna killed Sankachuda. Then Krishna and Balaram both performed divine leelas with their own lovers and played holy. Only a learned devotee can describe the beauty of these celestial activities. And Sri Krishna Chaitanya Charitam Murari Gupta says, look at Rama and Krishna, who are covered with jewels and suitably dressed for springtime. In a humorous mood, they performed their kelis with their own beautiful Braja ladies. They are gracefully dancing and singing in a delightful mood with their pretty gopis. The gopis who were not fortunate enough to associate with Krishna forgot their sorrow when Balaram performed his Leela with them. How Balaram increased their enjoyment is beyond description. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that Bhagavan Sri Balaram stayed in Braja for 2 months and supplied divine enjoyment to the gopis each night. Sri Raghava continued to describe the beauty of Balaram at the time of his Rasa Keli. O Srinivas, knowing that he would perform his Rasa Leela with his dear lovers, Balaram happily came to this place. This pleasant spot, situated near the Jamuna River, was continually filled with scented air. The flowers of the gardens were in full bloom, and the sky was bright from the full moon. The humming of bumblebees and the sweet whistling of different birds surcharged the atmosphere. Millions of male and female peacocks danced, and many deer played in the garden. As Balaram relaxed beneath a tree, the guards in heaven sang the glories of Rohini Nandana, whose beauty and posture could fascinate the world. This is a song written to that. Glory to the valiant Rohini Nandana, the white conch, kunda flowers, camphor, and the silver white mountain bow down to Balaram's beautiful bright complexion. His curly hair, the beauty of the carefree locks of hair on his forehead, his bright tea-locks stir the hearts of young maidens. His lotus eyes are restless, and his eyebrows dance like black bumblebees near his bright earrings. With a short nose and a face which conquers the splendor of the moon, it seems like nectar pours from his body. His arms are decorated with bangles, and jeweled necklaces adorn his strong chest. His thin waist makes the lion feel insufficient, and his blue dress enhances his figure. His beautifully shaped thighs and feet fascinate the heart of all who can see him. O Srinivas, who can keep his composure seeing the splendor of Baladev? It was here that Rama sat on a jeweled throne in a graceful Ramostava dress. The beauty of Baladev conquers millions of Kamadevas, and every moment of his charms, the Munis and Indras. Every movement of his charms, the Munis and Indras. The glory of his body, which brightens the three worlds, can win the pride of 1,000,000 moons. The silky black curly hair covering his head is decorated with a jewel-set crown and flowers. His lips are as red as beam of fruit, and his teeth sparkle like pearls. A garland of Vaijayanti dangles from his powerful neck. The reddish color of the soles of his feet defeat the sun, and the brightness of his nails conquers the darkness. I am unable to describe the beauty of Baladev, as there is no comparison to him in this world. Whoever absorbs the gracefulness of Baladev is the most fortunate person. In the Puranas, Baladev Dhyana is written as follows. In this place, Rohini Nandana Balaram stood in a threefold bending form and blew joyfully on his horn, the sound of which moved the heart of Brahma and others. O Srinivas, with one mouth, only how can I describe the beauty of Bala's Leela? Here in this moonlit Jamuna Upavana, Balaram engaged in Leela surrounded by millions of gopis. In that Upavana near the Jamuna, which was flooded by bright moonlight and covered with the scent of lotuses, Balaram performed his Rasa Leela. Then Varuni Devi, sent by her father Varuna, flowed from a hole in a tree and filled the entire atmosphere with the sweet scent of wine. Baladev breathed the scent and drank the wine with his beloved gopis in that garden. After drinking the wine, Rohini Nandana engaged himself in divine lovemaking with his gopis. Some of the gopis played with mridanga, ranika, and other instruments, while other gopis sang the glories of Balaram in beautiful songs based on beautiful tunes and beats. Lord Balaram and others were moved by the music. Sri Balaram himself became overwhelmed by the dance, the songs, and the music, and soon the Rasa Mandir was filled with celestial joy. To enjoy water sports with his lovers, Balaram brought the Jamuna near by pulling her with his plow, and then sported in her water. After bathing, Balaram changed his dress, drank honey and wine, and spent the night with his associates. In the early morning, the gopis could not bear their separation from Balaram and did not want to return to their homes. Balaram consoled them in many ways and sent them to their houses. Out of fear for Balaram, the Jamuna offered him prayers, and folding her hands, she threw herself at his feet. When by her own quiet nature the Jamuna was flowing to the South Ocean, and she did not respond to the order of Balaram, he pulled her with his plow. In this place, the Jamuna can be seen as she is. I sing the glories of this place with my devoted heart. So today's the day that we get to hear and see by the full moon in our mind's eye. If we listen to these narrations, we can understand a little bit about perhaps that separation that the gopis are always feeling when they're not able to see Krishna or not able to see Balaram. And this is actually from a portion of the Krishna book. When the gopis arrived, Lord Balaram glanced over them with loving eyes. Being overjoyed, the gopis, who had been so long mortified on account of Krishna and Balaram's absence, began to ask about the welfare of the two brothers. They specifically asked Balaram whether Krishna was enjoying his life surrounded by the enlightened women of Dwarkapuri. Does he sometimes remember his father Nanda and his mother Jashoda and the other friends with whom he so intimately behaved while he was in Vrindavan? Does Krishna have any plans to come here to see his mother Jashoda? And does he remember us gopis who are now pitiably bereft of his company? So Balaram was getting a big guilt trip before everything began because they had been away for so long. And he said, after their long and drawn out sort of, emoting about how heartbroken they were, he said, "My dear gopis, please do not worry. The service you have rendered me is impossible for me to repay. After all, we are women, so how could we misbehave in front of him? Now we can understand that his sweet words were simply for cheating us," they said after Balaram had said that. Another gopi protesting Krishna's absence from Vrindavan began to say, "My dear Balaramji, we are of course village girls, so Krishna could cheat us in that way. But what about the women of Dwarka? Don't think they are as foolish as we are. We village women might be misled by Krishna, but the women in the city of Dwarka are very clever and intelligent. Therefore, I would be surprised if such city women could be misled by Krishna and could believe his words." So he was trying to placate them, calm them down. And their feelings were becoming more and more, pitiful. Lord Balaram could, of course, understand the ecstatic feelings of the gopis, and therefore he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal, and thus, treating the gopis very respectfully, he began to narrate the stories of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. In order to keep the gopis in Vrindavan satisfied, Lord Balarama stayed there continually for 2 months. So basically he's there from now through May. For those 2 months he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavan in order to satisfy the desire for conjugal love. Thus Balaram also enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis during those 2 months. Since the season was springtime, the breeze on the bank of the Jamuna was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially of the flower known as kaumudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere, and thus the banks of the Jamuna appeared to be very bright and pleasing, and Lord Balaram enjoyed the companies of the devotees there. And we hear about, I was reading a little bit more about the Varuni beverage. Basically, it's like a fermented, it's described as like a sort of a tree sap that's fermented. And it just, for Balaram's pleasure, the gopis' pleasure, it just starts oozing out of different sort of holes in the tree, all natural product. And when the oozing started, it became very aromatic. Sometimes when you smell honey or like something that's really, sometimes even maple syrup gives that, it's like a very aromatic, sweet smell in the air. And the Varuni, the liquid honey, Varuni, actually was most captivating to Balaram. And they all started, Balaram and the gopis, when they started drinking it, it was a little bit like drinking an intoxicant, or it really was like drinking an intoxicant, not like anything we can imagine. And his eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude amongst all of his gopis. So he was in a very happy mood, and he, wanted to make sure that they weren't bereft. He, being non-different from Krishna, Balaram, wanted to mitigate their suffering, right? He wanted to try to help the gopis in such a way that, they knew that wasn't Krishna, but it's certainly the very next best thing. Balaram is the very next best thing. And he also had his own gopis that were just devoted strictly to him and were also bereft of his company when he went away. So, when Krishna leaves us and then he somehow or other we catch a glimpse or he comes back in such a way that we're, at least temporarily we're satisfied that he is with us, and we can understand that, once again, that, oh yes, he is with us, it's okay. We can breathe a little bit easier when that happens. And Balaram being Krishna's direct expansion and all of his paraphernalia and providing all support, Balaram provides all support. That was a way also he was supporting Krishna. So Krishna didn't feel that kind of, he was also very bereft. He was also missing the gopis. He was missing them, the pastimes, very much. So Balaram was supporting both sides in that way, and he was very expert at peacemaking and placating that, and not artificially, because eventually they would reunite, but that was Balaram's role there. So, yes, we're thinking about that tonight, Balaram's rasa dance and his time in the forest, and how beautiful the spiritual world must be for those so fortunate to be there, even as a rock or as a tree who is somehow exuding Varuni from the holes of the tree for the pleasure of Balaram. All those things to give pleasure to Krishna and Balaram and the gopis. We can all strive to do here practically when we're in the Dham, to try to give pleasure to our beloved Radha Golokananda in that mood, to try to please them at all times. And, that's very good practice for us to hopefully gain some kind of admittance, even as a blade of grass, in that pastime in the spiritual world. So thank you very much. If anybody has anything to say. You got something to say? No? No? No?
Well, there was a misunderstanding for a long time on Bahulasami, which is during the month of Kartik, because local people would always, see it as right. But actually, the appearance of Radhakund and Shamakund is right after Krishna killed the bull demon. So this is actually now, and today is the most auspicious day of the appearance of Radhakund, and all these wonderful pastimes took place on this day. So we know, in fact, in this book that you were reading from, there's the different chapters on the glories of Radhakund, and Srila Prabhupada himself speaks about the glories of Radhakund in the Nectar of Instruction, which was a book that was widely distributed to the public in the very, very early days of ISKCON. So just on a day like today, if we meditate on Radhakund, which is non-different than Srimati Radharani and Shamakund, so both of those places are very dear to each other, so we could actually meditate on this day and take shelter of Radhakund. And anytime we meditate on Radhakund, we can go there and chant our japa very nicely. And I meant to bring water with me, but I'll bring it around. I'll bring the water around later. And to bathe in Radhakund. And what does it mean to bathe in Radhakund? It means to actually surrender to that mood of Srimati Radharani, which is just that unalloyed mood of giving pleasure to Krishna, of serving Krishna. And how do we do that? So that also comes from that unalloyed mood of dedicating ourselves to our spiritual master and understanding that it is only through our spiritual master, only through the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, only through Nityananda, through Chaitanya, that we can even approach these highest realms. And this is a mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he opened widely through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave to the public on the street, this is Radha Kund. You know, only the great souls will have the fortune of residing there. So we are very fortunate today to be able to honor this day and just even remember Radha Kund, to glorify Radha Kund, and to glorify all these great personalities is to associate with them, because we cannot see with our eyes, but we see with our ears. So today is the most auspicious day, the appearance of Radha Kund and Shama Kund. And one will think like, why is Radha Kund more famous than Shama Kund? Because Krishna wanted it to be. Krishna wanted to spread the glories of Srimati Radharani. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Well, you know, I knew you were ecstatic.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayatasham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. 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 Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Skuta Brinda Vipineshe. 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 Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. 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 Rishabhanu Dari Navashashi Leke Lalita Sake Guna Ramita Vishake. Rishabhanu Dari Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Rishabhanu Dari Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Rishabhanu Dari Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. Radhe Jaya